Hello! In this video we'd like to give you an introduction to Tinkercad. Tinkercad is free software that you can use at home to design your own 3D prints, and you can then get them printed for free here at Clearwater Library. The video that follows should take you from the very beginning of how to get to Tinkercad to how to produce your own prints. To get access to Tinkercad, use the link on the screen. In order to use Tinkercad, it will ask you to join. It will ask you for your name, an email address, and your age. The very first time you use Tinkercad, you'll see a series of tutorials. You can do these now if you choose, or by clicking on the Tinkercad logo here, you can go to your dashboard. Your dashboard is where all your designs are stored. You can rename them, re-edit them, change them, delete them. It's your very first time, so you won't actually see any designs yet. So simply click on Create New Design and you can get started. One word though, should you wish to go through the tutorials at any time, you can always click on Learn and it will take you to the tutorials. To go back to your dashboard, click on the Tinkercad logo. So let's get started and create a new design. When you first open up Tinkercad in order to make a new design, you'll see a screen that looks like this. It consists of various areas, a selection area for various models you can begin with, and here we see what is known as the Workplane, and it's here we'll begin this explanation. The Workplane consists of this area on which you construct and design your models. I would heavily recommend when using Tinkercad to use a mouse. It is much easier than using control keys. The golden rule with Tinkercad is the left-hand mouse button selects and manipulates objects. The right-hand mouse button changes your point of view. By holding down the right-hand mouse button and moving the mouse, you can easily change your point of view. Simply move it around, go above, go below, go to the left, go to the right. It's very easy to potentially become disorientated when doing this. In order to return to your initial position, simply left-click on the home icon here. Another way to change your point of view is to use this tool here. You can click to a particular facing using the left mouse button, like so. You can rotate it using the arrows that appear above, below, and to the sides. Or you can just hold down on it with the left-hand mouse button and move the mouse. This tool can be very useful if you want to know that you are actually looking directly from a particular point of view, e.g. from the top. Occasionally you may need to move your point of view to one edge of the workplane. To do this, simply hold down the right-hand mouse button, press the Shift key and move the mouse. Finally, you can zoom in and out by using the mouse wheel. Like many 3D design programs, Tinkercad works by combining simple objects into more complicated ones. Think of it as virtual Lego, except unlike Lego, you can actually change the objects you are using in order to make your complicated final model. You select objects that you wish to use from this area here. Move the mouse pointer over the object you wish to use, hold down the left mouse button, and move it onto the workplane. You'll see a ghost image. When you have the object where you want it, simply release the mouse button. In order to work upon an object, it has to be selected. You can tell in Tinkercad when an object is selected because you can see highlighted these anchor points. These are these little white and black boxes. To deselect an object, simply left-click anywhere on the workplane outside the object. In order to select an object, simply left-click anywhere upon it. When an object is selected, its inspector will appear. This shows the properties of the object, such as its length or its height. If you wish to hide the inspector, simply click on the little arrow here. If you wish to see it again, click on the arrow again. To move an object upon the workplane, left-click on it, avoiding the anchor points, and drag. When you're happy with its new position, release the mouse button. Now would be a good time to try practicing looking at your objects from different angles. Click down on the right-hand mouse button and move the mouse to see your object from different angles. Try zooming in and out. Try looking at it from below or from above. When you're ready to continue, click on the Home icon. By moving the mouse pointer over an anchor point, we can alter the shape and size of an object. You can always tell when an anchor point is selected when, if you left-click on it, you see the size indicators appear. The size indicators tell us which faces that anchor point will alter. If I hold down the left-hand mouse button and move it, you can see the size changes. If I hold a black one, you can see only one size will change. If you know what size you want an object to be, you can simply type in the values in the size indicators. For instance, if I wanted this to be 50, and this to be 25, I could proceed in that manner. If I want to change the size of an object but keep the same proportions, by left-clicking, holding down the mouse and the Shift key, when I size it, the proportions will remain the same. As you can see here, I've doubled the size, but the proportions are the same. A brief word about the sizing. Tinkercad will always default to metric units, in this case millimeters. Should you wish to work in inches, you can do so. Left-click on Edit Grid and select Inches. Then select Update Grid. The problem is that it will still show everything as a decimal. You can't, for instance, enter 1 and 1/16 of an inch. It will simply go down to 1. You are probably better off by working in the millimeter scales, but entering the values that are equivalent to the inches. Simply do a search for the value in inches expressed in millimeters. Simply enter in the value you require, in this case 1 and 1/16 of an inch, and you will get the metric equivalent. Copy that, paste it into the value you wish to change, and there you are. Now you may have noticed that all these adjustments are taking place in a flat plane. We're not going up and we're not going down. If, however, you select on the white anchor point that is in the middle of the top of an object, you can change its height or indeed its depth. And above that you will see a little cone-shaped object. Select that and your object will raise up and down off the surface of the workplane. The other commands available to change or move around an object are that you can see when it is selected that these little curved arrows appear. If you click on one of those with the left-hand mouse button and hold it down and then move it, you will see you can rotate your object. If you're inside this compass circle, it'll go in 22.5 degree increments. Go outside and it'll move 1 degree at a time. Each arrow will change the rotation in a given axis. Now would probably be a very good time to pause and just practice manipulating an object. Should you find yourself making mistakes, don't worry, it's simply a matter of practice. And when you do make a mistake, you can always go back. There is an undo button and a go forward button. Earlier, I compared making up a more complicated object from simple objects to being virtual Lego. And let's show how this works. After all, there's only so much we can do with one object, sizing it, twisting it, moving it around. To make something more interesting, we need to combine objects. So I select another object with left click and drag, and if I move it in and I put it so that it overlaps with my existing object or objects, like so, at the moment we still have two separate objects. If I select one and move it, they move separately. I select the other, they move separately. However, if I click so that neither object is selected, then I left click and hold down the mouse anywhere else on the workplane, you'll see a selection box appear. If I move this so it overlaps, it doesn't have to completely overlap both objects, it just has to include a bit of each. You will see that this icon suddenly activates. This is the group icon. It tells me how many shapes are selected. If I click on it, and both objects have now been combined into one. If I move it, they move together. If I resize it, they resize together. If I think I've made a mistake, I can unselect it, or rather ungroup it. I simply deselect everything, and now they are completely separate once more. I can move them, resize them. If I wish now to put it in a different place, I repeat the performance. Select them both and group. And now we have a different shape. I can add more shapes. By using this method, we can build up extremely complicated objects. We can put things on top of each other. I would strongly suggest now that pause this and take some time to experiment with adding objects together. Try and think of a shape that you're trying to make, or an object you're trying to make, and see how you do. As well as adding objects together, we can take them away from each other. The procedure is almost identical to that of adding, with just one extra step. Once again, select an object and move it so it overlaps. Now, when an object is selected, you can see that even in the closed inspector, a few controls appear. And the one we're interested in is this grey hatched circle. If you click on that, the object becomes a hole. As you can see, it's no longer solid, it's a wireframe. If we now do the selection, using the left click and dragging the selection box, and do the combine, instead of adding, the object takes away. It is this combination of addition and subtraction of objects that allows you to make almost anything you can imagine. Once you've completed your design, there are only a couple of stages left in order to have a 3D print. I would heavily recommend the first thing you do at this point is change the name. By default, Tinkercad will give you a random name that is essentially meaningless. If you're trying to find your file in a few weeks' time, you'll have a terrible time because it won't mean anything. So change it to something that makes sense to you now and in the future. Finally, you need to export it. Go to the export button and you will get a choice of formats. The standard is STL. All you have to do is click on the STL button and a file will be downloaded to your computer. Clearwater Public Libraries offer a free 3D printing service. Simply go to the link you can see on the screen here and fill in the form. It'll ask you to upload your new STL file, and when it's printed, we'll let you know and you can come and collect it. I hope you found this video useful and that you've enjoyed it. We hope to do some more in the future, showing some of the more advanced features of Tinkercad, plus step-by-step walkthroughs and some tips and tricks. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.